Hey everyone, how's it going? Five Finger Shuffle. We are back here with another video, and today what I want to do is go over the top five fire units in Epic 7. So I was torn. Last week we did the top five nature units, and then this week I was like, well, should we do fire or should we do water? But it looks like potentially we might be getting two new banners this week, with rumors of both a Luna banner and a new champion coming to the fire element. Fire element is a new 5-star healer, and if she is incorporated in the game, then I apologize because this list will be out of date immediately, as she would, according to her kit alone, obviously we haven't seen her do anything, but just from looking at her kit, it puts her as number one on this list without a question. She'll be the top fire unit in the entire game. If she comes into the game this week, we'll have to see though. So just a disclaimer, and also keep in mind this list is just my opinion. You don't have to agree with me. The nice thing about this game is that there are many different ways to play, and different people have different play styles. That being said, there are units on this list that I don't even really like playing with, and I would prefer other units on the list. But I tried to keep it fair and just make it an overall top five, with a couple of honorable mentions. So, with that being said, let's start off with the honorable mentions on the list. The first honorable mention is going to be Tenebria. So, she seems to get passed over a lot, but with the AoE defense break, that makes her relatively rare. There's only a few units in the game that have an AoE defense break, and I think she's just really, really strong. Um, but she didn't quite make the cut for our list. The next person up on the list is Mascot Hazel. Again, going to be really strong once you specialty change her. I don't currently have her in the top five. She's another one that could potentially make it into the top five, but I don't know. I just don't see it. And finally, the most controversial on the outside looking in is Haste. Haste, before yesterday, was potentially one of the top Wyvern characters in the game. I actually made an entire video about him talking about how good he was and how I ranked him. I believe I ranked him like a 9 out of 10 or 9.5 out of 10 because of how good he was for Wyvern. But with the new changes to Wyvern, he basically can't be used there anymore for Wyvern 11, so you're probably not going to build him up for Wyvern 10, um, if you plan on doing 11 anyway. So he kind of loses a lot of his value in this, and that is why he did not make the list. So let's start off the list at number 5. Number 5 is Ken. So Ken is one of those units who I actually have, but I'm not a big fan of his. Let's go through his kit really quick. Attacks with a flurry of strikes with a 35% chance to decrease defense for 2 turns. If the caster is granted vigor, also burns the target for 2 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to caster's max health. When you're doing damage based on max health, I kind of like that actually. When I first heard he was getting a buff, I was pretty excited about this. The 35% chance though is really, really low. You can't rely on this at all. And even with skill ups, it doesn't skill up. So basically, he might burn with his skill 1 if he's granted vigor, which, to be fair, he does. He is granted vigor most of the time. The issue is that burn is based on attack. So if you have high attack power, then the burn will do a lot of damage. But you're supposed to build this guy tanky, so the burn isn't going to do anything, and he's most likely not going to defense break on his skill 1. Skill 2 attacks the enemy with a kick, increasing speed of the caster for 2 turns with a 75% chance to decrease defense of the target for 2 turns, gains 40 fighting spirit when an enemy is defeated. If the caster is granted vigor, ignores effect resistance. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. So now you're up to 75% defense break on a 3-turn cooldown, which is really nice. Unfortunately, you can't skill up the chance to defense break, so it's 75% chance flat across the board. Um, it does ignore resistance if it's got vigor, which is this skill. Delivers a powerful blow after a flurry of strikes, stunning for 1 turn and decreasing attack for 2 turns before granting vigor to the caster for 4 turns. Damage dealt increases proportional to the caster's max health. Caster begins the first battle with 50 fighting spirit and gains 5 fighting spirit when attacked. So, what does this all mean? It's a little confusing. First of all, he does have a decreased attack, which is nice, and you can decrease the cooldown on this, which brings it down to 5 turns, and it's 4 turns of what was it called? 4 turns of vigor. So he's got vigor is up 4 of the 5 turns. He also self buffs attack, and self buff speed, but he's going to be built relatively so anyway. You're not going to build him on speed. Um, his decreased attack is nice for bosses, but he's not really a unit you can use on auto because of vigor. Also, his defense breaks are unreliable. This one should be better because of the vigor making it ignore resistance, but it's still only 75%. And he doesn't really do much damage, and his ultimate here, which does scale off attack or HP as well, it's all these like conditional things make it not very good for auto. So really, you could use him as a bruiser in arena offense, but now he was okay for Wyvern as your front line, but now being fire, he's not good for that either. Um, all in all, I don't really see a place for him other than arena right now. Maybe Guild Wars. Actually, sorry, Guild Wars and arena. My bad. Guild Wars are actually coming out tonight, if you guys didn't already know. So if you haven't set your defenses yet, you have 3.5 hours to set your defenses and get yourself into war. But yeah, he's good. He's got a great kit. He's got so much potential. I'm just not really a big fan of his, and I normally like the warrior types with the tanky bruiser type units, but with him, I just can't seem to make him work. I tried him a few runs and I couldn't get it. I know a lot of people are probably going to argue with that, but that's why I actually put him in the top 5 as opposed to taking him out, because if it was my own personal top 5, I probably wouldn't have him in there. Um, but a lot of people love him, and I can see why. So he comes in at number 5. At number 4 on the list is another one that I like her, but I'm not like the biggest fan of, and I've had her forever, and I still haven't even 6-starred her. Um, is Araminta. So Araminta, first skill with a 35% chance to burn. Second skill, increasing attack of all allies for 2 turns. If the enemy is burned, the catalyst will explode and deal damage to enemies, making them unhealable for 2 turns. So she has an attack buff for your whole team, which is great. This is the main reason why I like her. Is she has a attack buff on her second skill that can be skilled up to be only a 3-turn cooldown, and it's a 2-turn attack buff. So that in itself makes her good and makes her worth it. And then her third skill attacks enemies with a massive fire pillar with 80% chance to burn and 2 turns, for 2 turns, sorry, and increases caster's combat readiness by 50%. I think this skill is saved by that last line there. Increases caster's combat readiness by 50%. Because this skill's kind of underwhelming otherwise. Um, like one burn debuff and not crazy overpowered damage for a nat 5. I feel like it's kind of underwhelming. But that combat readiness makes her worth it because she can keep stacking burns over and over and over again. And the kit makes sense because she has an attack buff, which on herself will also increase the damage of burn. So she is really good. Um, she's kind of comp dependent. The thing that drops her down this list a little bit is that she was primarily good for Wyvern. And again, with Wyvern 11 not being able to use fire units anymore, basically she becomes obsolete in terms of Wyvern. So you're going to still use her for Golem, I'm sure. She's going to be great for Golem. But in terms of Wyvern, she's off the list, which means she drastically drops in value. Which seems to be the theme with most of the fire units now, as most of them were good for Wyvern, and now they're not anymore. So number 3 on the list is actually not a nat 5. but is yet another one who got drastically affected by this Wyvern change, Cherie. So Cherie quite possibly could have been number one on this list before yesterday, and now all of a sudden he's lucky to be on the list. I actually debated not having him on the list at one point, but his passive is obviously what makes him good. Now, just to be clear, he does have to be skilled up in order to maintain this rank. Um, all of his skills will boost attack bar, but this is it's the passive that makes it work. So after delivering a critical hit, the caster gains one focus, and the combat readiness of all allies except the caster is increased by 15%. So it takes your whole team, increases the combat readiness. For those of you who don't know what that is, that's the attack bar on the left-hand side. Increases by 15%, but if you skill it up, it actually jumps to 25%. The reason you can't use fire units in Wyvern 11 is because every time a fire unit hits the boss, it increases the boss's attack bar by 10%. So at 15%, this is kind of a wash, except it's like a little bit better for your team, but it's worse for him because the boss will actually gain combat readiness on Cherie, but he'll lose a little bit on the rest of your team. So it's kind of a wash. If it's skilled up, then it's fine. I mean, if you've got it to +5, because then your team's getting 25% and the boss is only getting 10%. The problem is that his damage is going to be mitigated because, which he doesn't do great damage already, but like he does have poison, which is nice, and that won't be affected. And a lot of people actually turn his third skill off for Wyvern. Um, but he's so purely in terms of Wyvern, I mean, he's not really about damage, so that's not really going to be a big deal. Because the new Wyvern boss, if you're not an ice champion, your damage is going to be 30% less, and the also he's going to take increased damage as well because he's not an ice champion. So you really don't want him in your Wyvern team. That being said, he is crazy strong everywhere else. I mean, you run him fast with 100% crit rate, and your team is going to get so many more turns. I run him in Abyss. I sometimes even run him in Lab. This is on my baby account. I don't have him built on my main. But I run him in Lab. I run him obviously in Golem. He'll still be great. You can run him in Arena. If you want to get him to go first, boost everybody's attack bar, that's fine too. So he's still really strong everywhere else. And it's just the Wyvern part, which was like, but that was what he was best at. He was best at making your Wyvern team on auto mode. And now he can't do that anymore. So they took his best thing and basically took it away from him. He's still good everywhere else, but he's not crazy overpowered like he used to be. And number 2 on the list, back to the Nat 5s, and I know a lot of people are going to be surprised to see this guy up here, is Ball and Cezanne. So this guy, I don't know why he's so underrated, but if you look at his third skill, he has decreased defense, decreased speed, and unhealable all in the same skill, and people overlook him. Now, I get that it's a long cooldown, but these are all relatively high effect chance. Like it can be skilled up to 85%, and the cooldown can be reduced to 5 turns. So for Arena, he's really strong. He's probably like best in class for Arena, just because of that first skill. Because he only has to go once, and that's it. His first skill has poison. Sorry, I said first. I meant third. His first skill here has poison. It is a low chance to land, though, unfortunately. And his second skill summons the Cloud of Darkness to attack all enemies, dealing damage proportional to the number of debuffs inflicted on the enemies. When the enemy is defeated by this attack, the cooldown for Last Requiem is reset, which is this. So, first turn, he does this. Defense breaks, speed breaks, heal blocks, which is if you don't have a cleanse, you're basically dead automatically because there's nothing you can do. You're going to be too slow, and you'll never be able to heal even if you do get a turn. So he's going to kill. And even if he's not going to kill, sorry, even if the rest of your team isn't going to kill, he's going to come along. He's going to use this skill, which is another AoE attack on a 3-turn cooldown. He's going to probably kill somebody at this point because he's already AoE attacked and the rest of your team is gone. He's going to kill somebody, and then automatically it resets this long cooldown. So it's going to be very hard. I mean, obviously against cleanses, this won't be as strong, but against regular teams that don't have a cleanse in them, he's overpowered. He's really strong. Um, he's another one though who was absolutely incredible for Wyvern, and now can't use him there either. So a lot of the Wyvern units didn't get nerfed, but they got nerfed for Wyvern, which means there's only one unit left that we haven't talked about yet. Throw a quick honorable mention out there to Ravi as well, and I love Cecilia. Cecilia and Ravi are also great in terms of the nat 5s, but our number one rank is going to be Achates. Achates is one of the top 2 healers in the game right now. She's crazy strong. We just talked about some of the things that are going to make her good. Her first skill, she decreases attack with her first skill, which is amazing. Anything where you can decrease attack is going to be strong, but having it on your first skill is going to be able to neutralize the enemy quite easily. You can skill this up to a 50% chance. Honestly, I think if you're going to use this unit all the way through the game, you should skill this up, get it up to 50%, because it's going to help you on stages where you'd otherwise get nuked. All of a sudden, you're good to go. Second skill, this is just ridiculously strong. This skill recovers all allies' health and grants invincibility for 1 turn. Amount recovered is proportional to max health. That invincibility, I mean, I realize it's not immunity, so you can still get stunned, you can still get defense broken, but you take no damage. So it's severely limiting for the other team. And not to mention it's a full team heal. And it's on a 3-turn cooldown as well, which is crazy. And then her ultimate skill dispels debuffs from all allies before healing them, which means that if they're heal blocked, she can cleanse first and then heal on top, and there's nothing you can do. If they're stunned, she can cleanse them. If they're stunned and heal blocked, she can still cleanse them. It's this, and it's only on a 4-turn cooldown, and it can be skilled up to a 3-turn cooldown. With such low cooldowns, she's basically healing every single turn. Combine that with the invincibility, and she's insane. She's by far the best fire unit in the game now. She may not have been before yesterday, but she was already near the top, and now that all the other fire units kind of took a hit because they are no longer usable in Wyvern, where that was their most important place of use, this didn't really affect her because that wasn't really the main place that people used her. The main place people have always used her is everywhere else, because she's useful everywhere. So she didn't take a hit to her main use, which means she stays where she was and everybody else drops down a rank. Um, so if you have Achates, congratulations. Although, don't forget, we may be getting a new healer. If we get that new fire healer, she will be taking over this top spot and everybody else can just drop down a rank. I am 100% sure that there's going to be people raging about how I ranked people on this list, and I look forward to hearing all about it down in the comment section below. Um, I'm all for some healthy debate and some conversation, so give me your best, and I'll try and respond to as many of you as I can. Also, don't forget to like this video if you liked the video. If you didn't like the video, then you can double tap the dislike button. And yeah, have a great day, and we will see you all soon with a Guild War video. Bye, guys.